I'm taking over this whole podcast. Storytelling is such a fundamental part of any culture. I'm just a guy. I'm just a dude making videos in his living room.
Kevin does have a team. He's just joking.
Unless you're played by Sean Bean.
I connect with that. How can I do my own version of that? From someone who was a struggling creator for a long time, it's hard to get things noticed, get your name out there, get your product out there.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Infinite Tavern podcast. Raghav, what are you laughing at? This is the fourth episode in our series. We are at D, the letter D right now. And
In the A to Z of the TTRPG creators around the world.
Absolutely. You know me, I'm your favorite host, Amaan HK, and with me we have like the second favorite co-host of the podcast.
The more favorite co-host.
Yeah. Sure. We'll let the people decide.
Roll it off. See who gets the higher number, and that will be the favorite host.
Okay, you know what? Let's do it. Okay, I'll roll two. Wait a minute. Nope. That's
15.
Okay. Sure.
What'd you get?
For this round? Okay, you win for this round.
Kevin, you just gave us an idea.
What did you get? 14?
I got a 5.
5? What did you get?
15.
He got a 15.
15? Suckers, I'm the favorite host of the season. I'm taking over this whole podcast. Too bad. Sign the rights over to me. You can't argue against high rolls.
Yeah,
You know what? You know what? The dice gods. The
dice gods. Yeah, the dice gods are
4 episodes in, and the show's completely changing. I'm taking over this podcast now. That's right.
And in the 4th episode, taking over this podcast, we have a very special guest, as you know him from the Instagrams, the YouTubes, the Blue Skies, and you know that formerly shitty Twitter. And
I was never that great on anyway.
But we have a professional game master, content creator, and overall chill guy, Kevin from Dice Cream Sandwich. Hi, Kevin.
What's up? How are you all doing today? Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for actually attending. I was very skeptical about you accepting when we sent that email, so we're glad.
Why? This is the thing. Okay, I've been making content like on here, you know, really pretty much full on since like 2020, and sometimes I will get like that kind of reaction, be like, don't invite him, he won't look at the email, or like, I'm just a guy, I'm just a dude making videos in his living room. I'm nobody. I like talking to people. Why wouldn't people want to talk to me?
You know what, Raghav? We felt the same way about Don Marshall.
Exactly. And Hannah.
And Brotherwise Games.
And Brotherwise Games.
They were like, will they talk to us? I don't know.
So it's like, being skeptical just gives us good luck.
Yeah.
I guess so.
But
more times than not, creative people want to talk about stuff or themselves. So I think you've got that covered. You don't have to be so skeptical. Most of the time, you should be like, I think they'll answer back. I think we'll plan for this. Reach for the stars is what I say. Because you'll hit the moon if you...
Yeah, the next email is going to Brennan Lee Mulligan.
Yeah.
Done.
Do it. BLM.
Do it.
BLM. I hope this.
I'm pretty sure that he has his email on like his homepage.
Yeah.
Like whatever like kind of homepage he has. I think his email is like on the bottom, and you just shoot your shot. Why not?
Kevin, while you were just preparing your room, right? I was telling Amaan about this one reel I saw of one reel of yours that I saw on Instagram, and the song has been stuck in my head for like the last 3 days. It just goes.
Which song?
I am the great mighty Pooh and.
Oh yeah. That's a bit from Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah, I've gone on to YouTube.
game.
I've watched that on loop. That is hilarious though. and so accurate.
Yeah, no, that's a awesome game. I used to play that all the time back in the day when it came out. I was a big 64 guy. But yeah, that soundbite came up recently. Someone just like, it was literally, I think it was on TikTok, and the video was a woman like playing her 64, like, remember this old school game, and just like showed that clip, and that's just instantly what came into my mind when I saw it. I was like, that'd be hilarious D&D villain.
I'm just thinking, what were the people on when they greenlit that monster?
I don't know,
was
but
it the
like
90s?
that whole game was a fever dream. I believe so. I think it was like 98, 99.
I mean, like
97 was like the 64 timeline.
I mean, like, I guess like lax rules. I don't know. Like,
Anyways,
Yeah.
jumping right into the podcast, Kevin. So how we just start with our very usual question: how did you get into TTRPGs or D&D, for that matter?
Oh God. Well,
what
was
is
a
your
bit of a
first
late-
memory?
What's your origin story?
Yeah.
well,
What's your
it was all darkness, and then there was a sliver of light, and then and then reality set in, and it was people with gowns on and masks, and it was awful. No, the first time I started getting into TTRPGs was like, I was a bit of a late bloomer. I didn't get into it till I was like mid-20s.
Mhm.
I was working as a bartender for a fun spot here in Vancouver, BC, Canada, where I'm from. And some friends of mine who are regulars, I did the Sunday brunch shift solo. So I would run brunch at the bar, and a group of friends of mine come in every Sunday morning, like at 10 a.m. We had like a breakfast deal that was like $4 back in the day. But they met every Sunday morning because they'd go play in D&D for like 8 hours. So they'd always come and regale about what the session was before and how it worked and what they did and the wins and losses and all that. And I was always super interested in D&D. I've heard about it, but like everyone else who thinks about getting into D&D, like it's super complicated. I don't know the rules, blah, blah, blah. So they were just like, you should just come play with us. So they invited me one time, and I was hooked and fell in love with it. And I have a background in acting and storytelling from when I was a teenager. So it just kind of genuinely integrated with all of those loves. And then you get onto Critical Role and you start watching that. And then all of these doors open for what that game can be. And that was kind of how it started. My producer, Jordy Rose, was my first DM. And he was also the DM for our first ever stream campaign we did in like fall of 2018, 2019. We did a Strahd game, and that kind of got the ball rolling for us doing streamed games and meeting other creators. But that was the genesis of it.
D&D is a rabbit hole. There's no coming out of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it depends on what you're into, especially if you're ever a theater kid back in the day, or you were into acting or performing in any kind of level, or you like improv comedy, or just you want to be a performer in general. It scratches a lot of those itches.
Yeah, I think I was always into like world building and writing and fantasy in general. So I again, like a lot of us in India, there's not a lot of exposure to D&D or even Critical Role. I think most of the people, they got to know about Dungeons and Dragons either through Stranger Things, Big Bang Theory, Community, and all of that. Critical Role and all of these things I think are pretty recent. Critical Role, Dimension 20, and all of these other things, especially in India, because again, it's a very niche hobby, right? So yeah, you don't hear a lot of people talk about Dungeons and Dragons, although there is mention of Dungeons and Dragons via other media, like the old animated show that used to come on the television back in the day, or the movie and all of that. So again, via TV shows as well. So that's kind of how like people are at least tangentially aware of, oh, there's a thing called D&D. What is it? So
Yeah. I tried to introduce D&D to a couple of people that I knew, and they joined the Discord server thinking that it was a video game. And once they found out it was math, they just walked right out.
You know what? At one point, even I thought it was a video game, because I think there was an MMORPG called Dungeons and Dragons at one point.
Yes, there is one. Yes.
And I downloaded that and I tried to play that, and I couldn't understand. I couldn't make head or tails of it, and I just like deleted that game. I was like, I don't know what's going on over here.
Yeah. Well, have you guys heard of Desi Quest?
Daisy Quest, yeah.
Yeah, so
I've
there
seen
are
that.
some. Yeah, so there are some shows out there that have that kind of inspiration and celebration
Yeah.
of Indian culture with it. But it's interesting because when you start diving in, because once you've been in these spaces for a long time, talk about rabbit holes, you start to go down rabbit holes of like what countries are super into what games, board games, TTRPGs, and it's very vast and different per capita. Like in Europe, Britain,
Mm.
France, Scandinavia, like they all have their certain focuses and things that they
Yeah.
really love. Japan, they have certain, like they're really into horror RPGs. Like Call of Cthulhu is the most played game in Japan as opposed to other
Oh, oh, I
TTRPGs.
didn't know that.
In China, I want to say, it could be wrong, but I think China, they have their own TTRPG that they've created, and it's centered around, like, again, horror investigation, but it has its own rule set. I forget what the game is called. I think Sit Down and Shut Up YouTube channel or people associated with it. They have this sort of like travel show where they go to different countries and deep
Hmm.
dive into that kind of stuff. So you can go on their channel and find out what countries are
Oh.
into what TTRPGs. But yeah, it's very different all around. And India, I'm curious to know what their gaming scene is like, because I know, like with Bollywood, like India has always, from my eyes, always been presented as someone who loves movies, pop culture, huge entertainment. But I've always wondered how that translates into like a TTRPG side. And like you said, it's not as prevalent over there, but it
Hmm.
seems like it's gaining a little bit of steam, and those communities are starting to build a little
It
bit
is
slowly.
building slowly. So there are these shows, right? There's Big Bang Theory, there's Community, and there's Stranger
Yeah.
Things. Stranger Things mainly that it just popularized D&D a lot, and it is slowly rising in the bigger cities. And yeah, people are taking their time to just get to know what the game is, how it is played. And yeah, there are a lot of people who might be a little self-conscious about the whole RPing situation in the games, so there is that as well. And the material in India, so for all the D&D material, the books, the dice, they're very expensive.
Yeah.
So that is
Yeah.
also something that is stopping a lot of people.
So
Are there any like TTRPGs that are like, is there like like, I don't know if there's an indie scene in India at all, but are there like any kind of games that are like originated from there that people like to
so
play over there, or is it not really, that's not how it works?
I mean, not. I mean, it's mostly either board gaming or mobile gaming. I mean, mobile gaming is the biggest like market in India. You have
Yeah.
your PUBGs, your Valorant, and all of that, and Free Fire and all of that. You have these mobile games, and as far as tabletop games, it's mostly centered around board gaming, but that's also restricted to the bigger cities. uh, Majority, the most amount of board gaming you will see will be either around chess, Monopoly, all of these
Mm.
kinds of things. As far as role playing games go, there are a few games. I mean, one particular that comes to mind is Bludgeon, which is like a made in India kind of TTRPG, tactical
Oh, that's
battle
cool.
based RPG, which is up and coming, still in its latest phase. I mean, you can check it out
Yeah,
online.
it
It's really good.
was also
Uh,
nominated for
yeah,
Brit Award in 2024.
yeah, for
No way. Oh, I'll
best
definitely
indie
check that out. I've always
RPG.
wanted to do a series of like every year we kind of do our thing, or I guess I do my thing. I'm a company of one. I don't know, I always say myself as we and ow, but it's just me. I don't have much of a team. I got Jordy who helps me with my streams, but we're slowly kind of building a little bit of an in-house team to help with some things.
No,
But I've always wanted
you do have a team. You do have a team. Hey, everybody. Kevin does have a team. He's just joking. He does have a team.
yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
big fucking deal. But yeah, I've always wanted to do a series of like similar to that YouTube channel I just said, like a TTRPG travel, either show, like physically going to these places and being like, what TTRPGs or board games do they play here, or just doing a video series on like, this is the biggest TTRPG in Asia, this is the biggest TTRPG in Ireland, and just deep diving on why.
Mhm.
So hearing that Bludgeon is one in India that's super popular, that'd be really fun to make a video about.
I mean, it's still
With
up and coming.
Still up and
yeah,
coming.
I mean, D&D is still the one which has the most like name recognition, and that's why. And people who have played, I mean, that's what attracts people to playing like D&D. Again, it's mainly because of like the marketing power behind it. Honestly,
yeah. With India having such a huge focus on entertainment, like with Bollywood, and again, kind of outside looking in, but there's such a huge support system for like Bollywood stars and that star power. Do you think that if like similar to what people do in the States when a lot of like popular actors or performers kind of get together to do like a TTRPG show or performance or anything, do you think that would like hugely raise the bar on the visibility of it, or is that just like not a cool thing that would
I
happen?
think it would certainly raise the bar like 10,
Well,
100x, 1000x, depending on the
but
star. But I don't
I
think
don't
they
think any
will.
of the celebrities would do that.
Yeah,
No.
Nope.
yeah. I mean,
That's hilarious because like you like, with a lot of those because they are performers in their own right. They're
yeah,
actors, they're writers, they're creatives. And all TTRPGs are a celebration of improv storytelling and
yeah.
performance with a dice mechanic. And I've seen we've seen so many celebrities in Western culture get into the hobby and be on a show or be on a podcast or be on a thing that I feel like with the right tweaking and the right introductions could be a thing. I don't know.
It
Especially if
definitely could.
Wizards of the Coast went out there and tried to make it like a big deal and invited
I
them
know.
to
I mean,
try.
it's a huge like market which like people are ignoring. Like
Mm.
India has like, I mean, India is like storytelling. When you think about storytelling, you like India and the mythology that India has, the subcontinent has it. It's always in the like back of my mind. Like, oh, they have like awesome like mythologies. They have a great storytelling traditions. I don't know why people are not taking advantage of this. Companies are not taking advantage of the culture. Advantage in a good sense. I mean,
Yes, no, not take advantage of the culture. Take advantage of the fact that there are creative people that would
yeah.
enjoy the hobby. But
I mean,
it
it's
feels
a
like all
huge
countries
market.
are very different in like
And
how they consume media, what appeals to them. Like making content, for example, there's certain videos that really appeal to a Western comedic sense and a Western ideology, and there's some content that speaks to everyone worldwide.
Mhm.
Like, take for example, oh man, I'm forgetting. I don't know how to pronounce his name specifically, but it's that that creator. I think KB or Kebi, the guy who always reacts to people doing videos like complicated, and then he just
oh,
does like a solution to them.
oh,
Oh,
Kabi,
Cabby,
Kabi, yeah.
Kabi,
Cabby.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's a kind of comedy that translates worldwide.
yeah.
That's why that creator is like multi-million, followed, is because there's no language really barrier. It's just like
Mhm.
people see an image of someone doing something overly complicated,
Yeah.
and then he just provides a simple solution. So
And
I
I think,
wonder that like, oh sorry,
even the pandemic just came in. It just helped him a lot with since everyone is locked down at home, and he
Yeah.
just started creating videos. So it just helped him out.
yeah. But some content I think translates better in one country than the next if it's very native to what that country's comedic senses are, what kind of content they are. Some people like fast moving, like jittery kind of animation with content, and some people like a nuanced story that's
Mhm.
slow and builds. So I
Yeah.
think that every country has an opportunity to get into any kind of form of media or hobby. I think it's just how does that company or whoever wants to try to introduce that hobby to that country, how can they introduce it in a way that feels proper to what that culture's interests are in media and cult and like video, if that makes any sense. If what I'm saying, just like maybe I'm just
I
making
believe
sense.
like a sit down actual play, like even like a 1 or 2 hour actual play of like Indian celebs or actors rather playing any TTRPG. Even it doesn't have to be even like it can be like a simple D6 system, PBTA system, or
Yeah,
uh, anything, and them exploring that fact and like because again India huge market of movies and series, right?
yeah,
People
huge.
seeing this as an alternative, like, oh my god, this can exist. Like, I mean, without a budget, you're seeing Shah Rukh Khan act out as a paladin, uh, you know, and this just through the power of his words, because he's a great actor. And like, Nasiruddin Shah acting as like a wizard and all of. And I'm sorry, I'm just like naming names, but
No, yeah. And like
but
that would be awesome. And I think there's a bit of a sometimes, and like even when introducing people to hobby here in Western culture who have never heard of it or don't know
Mhm.
what it is, a lot of times when I try to like I've explained what the hobby is to so many people in so many different types of
Mhm.
ways compared to like how they take in information. So if you're talking to someone, it's like, I have no idea what this is. Like, what is this? I'm like, okay, when you read a novel like Game of Thrones, so imagine you are Ned Stark, but you're playing Game of Thrones, but you're on a table with a bunch of your friends, and the decisions you make are ruled by dice. And you can do anything. It's an open free world. Do what you want.
I think
And a lot of people are like,
Unless you're-
oh,
Unless you're played by Sean Bean, in which case you always get killed.
yeah, then you'll die right away and pick a new character because that can get frustrating.
I think
arrows.
I think Deborah and Wool did a really good job of explaining D&D recently.
Yeah.
There was a video which went viral. I think the way she explained it was like top notch, and you can see the other actor. I'm forgetting his name, but him like completely like
the guy to play Punisher.
yeah, like him completely like something like switching on in his brain, and like him like connecting the dots and the strings and seeing, oh, this is how it works. Oh, I can do this. I do this. I do that. So that's
Awesome. And I think I don't know what culture is like in India, but like there are some cultures where it feels like the populace feels like they need permission to be silly. They need someone else to say this is okay to be silly, to perform in front of other people, to not be not color inside the lines. You can color outside the lines. It's okay. It feels like sometimes there needs to be an example set for some cultures to be like led by people of note to be like, no, be silly, roll dice, have fun. You can do it too. We're doing it. It's not a scary thing. And everyone's like, oh, I will do it now. I don't know if that feels like the same ballpark that maybe it follows the same line in India, but I don't know.
I think it does to a certain extent because it's like a more conservative like society as compared to particularly the West. Not putting like a good thing or a bad thing notion over there, but just something which is like a lot, even as growing up, even in a small town, for me, like expressing yourself like how you truly like really want to be was something which wasn't supposed to happen. You have to like do these things to be a normal citizen in the world. You have to go to this school, you have to do this course, you have to do this job, get married, have kids, and that's the perfect way, that's the best way to live the life. Not saying it's not. That's certainly like a good way to live the life, but I mean, other things weren't encouraged as much. It's more about, academics and how should I put it, career and all of that. And hobbies are like hobbies, like you can do it later when you have time or and all that.
Spoiler,
I don't know.
we don't have time.
Yeah,
we don't have time.
yeah. But it's more of a side conversation. It's not really focus. It's like get these things done first, and if you have time later, then maybe you can have a hobby.
Yeah, maybe you can learn to play guitar. Maybe if you want to go, jog a marathon, you can do that in your own time. But first, focus on your career, your family, and academics. That should be your main priorities in life. And I love this quote from Robin Williams. I think it was in Dead Poet Society. I mean, he talked about engineering, medical, doctors. These are all noble professions, but poetry, art, these are the things that we live for. So I think like storytelling and TTRPGs in general fall into that category. I'm like, all of this is fine, but these are things that like particularly us
as
in
far as
for.
Yeah, and I feel like there was, again, that documentary I mentioned, Sit Up, Shut Down. I think that's where it's from. If I'm wrong, please look it up.
Look it up.
But it felt like the story that was being told was a bit similar in that Asian culture can be a bit reserved as well for a majority of people. And then when some of these games started to really started to catch fire, and it kind of just spreads. Like when a lot of media cultures like Asian culture as well is very centered around video gaming and big AAA sort of media experiences only, like mobile games and computer games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I love seeing this kind of transition that happens in any cultures where, I mean, it certainly happened in the US over the last 10 years. The pandemic kind of pushed that forward, where realizing the value of camaraderie, the value of sharing an experience with people around a table in real time has such an impact on yourself, your friends, your social life than always interacting behind a screen. And it's almost like kind of unplugging from the matrix a little bit, where you've been used to a certain way of entertainment or community for so long. And then when you just give it a chance and you realize how fun it is, even if that's the only in-person social experience you have, where once a month, once a week, whatever, you get your friends around a table, you roll dice, you tell stories, you have a good time, how impactful that is on not only the human brain, but your self-esteem, and you're practicing social skills and problem-solving skills. It's wonderful to see how fast that can catch on. So I would love to see that. I think a lot of us would love to see that community grow in India, and any way that can be supported would be amazing for however that can go down.
We're trying.
A lot of people who are actually trying to use. There are a lot of people who are actually trying to use this. The abundance of the different kinds of culture and the rich history in India, and try incorporate in their TTRPGs. So there's Indie, like a previous guest of ours. They've created. They've created their own D&D setting that is influenced by a lot of Indian history and mythology.
Cool.
Yeah.
I had someone pitch to me once there's a lot of AI D&D programs and stuff out there.
Yeah.
Whether it's AI, there's programs I've seen where it's like you log in and you get your friends in and it's all AI run. Like you write a character bio, and art's created for you, NPCs you talk to, or AI chatbots, which I'm not super into. But this one person pitched me similar idea, but his pitch was to support Indian TTRPG culture, because I believe this creator was from India. And his pitch was, in India, it's so hard for people to play not only the game, but just to find other people who also play it in the community. So their pitch was, we've created this system kind of for the sole purpose of trying to let people find their community. And in their test runs and demos, they found it really effective in places like India, where it was very hard for them to either play the game or find people to play it. So they could kind of plug into this AI system, which again, I'm not all for, but I can see the value in, if like yourselves, if you're somebody who loves a hobby, but it's just so hard to find people to also take part in it, or it's hard to see it kind of grow, that there would be a program like this where either yourself could just hop into basically an AI game of D&D, but you're still getting all of the facets of it. Or if you find 4 players but no DM, there's a space for that as well. I don't know what your guys' takes on something like that would be.
I think places like Daisies and Dragons and
I'm so sorry.
And Samsung. Sorry, no, not Samsung. I mean, places like Daisies and Dragons, and and even online, you have we now getting a lot of regular meetups in the major cities. About every weekend or every other weekend, they have a meetup in a cafe. There's a roller dice. There is, I mean, there's House of Adventures. So we have people who are actively trying to build that community through regular meetups on a weekend. So for people to, for a very small fee, I think it, in converted to dollars, it would be like around $4 or $5 for a day. I mean, you come to this cafe, you have a DM there with the story, with the character sheet and everything. Try the game out.
Oh, that's awesome.
We have dice which you can share. If you don't have dice, we can roll on the phone as well. Honestly, I mean, it's just a random number generator, right? So
Yeah.
it's not a problem. So there is like regular efforts now to so build that sort of community, and we have, thankfully, Discord helps a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
to foster that community, like people, there are so many people I got to know, friends whom I've known for years, and they were like, dude, I don't know where to play D&D. I'm like, there is a whole vibrant community out there. You can go and play. You can play online. I can run games for you if you want. uh, it's almost like a Google search away. It wasn't so like about 5 years ago where you had to like find them in the forums and everything. And that's how I
Are
found
you
Infamous.
guys are you familiar with Start Playing dog games?
Oh yeah,
Yes, I do run games on that.
he
Actually.
does, and I'm starting to run games there,
There
and
you go. So
you
that's
run
the
games.
perfect. Yeah, it's a perfect system for that very same reason. Like I remember playtesting Start Playing when it first started.
Wow.
Some of the founders and creators were like, "We're going to start this website. Would you be down to like test run a couple games when they first started, like 2021?" And so I've been a long time like believer in that
Mhm.
program and system. And Devin, who's one of the founders and helps run it, is very intuitive and continues to elevate and upgrade the system to what people's needs are. And they've even just started a new quick start system, which I'm doing a promo for soon to tell people about on my channels. That's literally 3 steps. It's like if you've never played D&D before, the first question is just like, what's your experience level? Second question is, do you want to run it by yourself? Do you want to play by yourself? Like, can you play with just you, or do you want friends to join you? And the third one is like, what system do you want to play in? And then it just like, boom, your game starts on Tuesday, or pick a date to start this game for 2 hours. Like,
Yeah.
it's so quick and easy. So I wonder if like companies like that would benefit from creating an ad campaign system in other parts of the world other than just the United States, like running ads in India, in other parts of the world where the hobby's not very well known, but they're so online that getting that kind of information to the right people might help to, as you say, kind of help spread that awareness and get more people into the hobby.
I do have an opinion on, not an opinion, but a slight understanding on that. One of which is, the currency exchange rate, and like, transacting
Mm.
internationally, technically, which, a lot of, for India, a lot of people who are interested, a lot of them are students, and they don't really have a budget in hand to do that.
There's a lot of free games though too. There's a
Yeah, that's
lot of
true.
people that offer
That's true.
free games and
Yeah.
free games for newbies.
Hmm.
That there's a market on there for that. There's
Yeah,
not a lot.
that's
There's
true.
not everyone charging money for it
Hmm.
necessarily. But if they were, like, yeah, they would be charging a US price
Hmm.
if there was a game that they wanted to
Yeah.
go into that cost US dollars for sure. And I wonder if, same thing with that idea of like trying to spread awareness in a place like in India, if there was like 2 campaigns for just letting people be aware of like, here's a hub that you could go to play this game very easily if you're interested.
I definitely
But
think.
also market it to Indian creators who are DMs who
Yeah,
aren't aware that this place exists, and they can run their own games and charge their own currency, like their own nation's currency and stuff like
yeah,
that,
I
and like
definitely think
have a
that
community for
would
different
help.
cultures in different countries.
In that case, I definitely think it would help, especially with, if it's, I don't know the correct exact term for it, but, localized pricing. I think that I would
Yeah,
say is something that would definitely help. Because Indians, we, like it's not a stereotype if it's true. I mean, like we are like fickle about it, like it's pricey. I'm gonna negotiate now. I'm gonna haggle.
yeah.
The good old stereotype is like, it's true. I still do that when buying veggies. So like that's still there. You segueing right in, like, this is a perfect segue to this. I actually found your content because how I found your content was, I was running Candle Obscura for the first time, and I was looking at creators who were running Candle Obscura, and I saw that you had started running that on Start Playing Games. when I think it was still the full game hadn't come out at that point.
Yeah, it was just starting.
Yeah.
I think that the play test material had just got released.
Yeah, and that's how I found your content, and I was like, "That's so cool! I want to earn money too."
Ah,
I
that's awesome. That's good to know.
I recently got like one of the most wholesome messages on this on StartPlaying.games actually. So last Sunday I was supposed to run a game, but I was sick and I had to cancel it. But there was this one guy who just he just right before the game started getting like registrations and everything, he was like, we're interested in joining, we're a family of 5, mom, dad, 2 teenagers and grandma who want to play D&D, will you DM for us? And I'm like, I wish I could.
Oh, that's
man.
nice. I have DM'd as part of someone's bachelorette party. Like,
Ooh.
someone DM'd me and was like, we'll pay you X amount of bucks if you will DM a one shot for our friend's bachelorette party. Here's what she likes. Here's her interests. It was like, she likes Nightmare Before Christmas. She loves Halloween. She likes these things. So I just made like a one shot that was like Wedding Crashers set in like a pumpkin land, and like they fought goblins and pumpkin creatures.
I'll just tell you
and
this.
It was awesome.
I'll just tell you this, someone knows how to throw a fucking party there.
Yeah,
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
That's so fun. But that's awesome, and like it's really fun to it's awesome to hear that Start Playing has been such a great connector for you two for your own local communities, and to get fun opportunities like that. And yeah, it's insane how far the hobby can go, as far as like I've had, just through my content, not necessarily my games, but I've had families reach out to me because of my content and being like, my kid's getting bullied in school because he loves D&D. Can you give him some words of encouragement? And it's just,
oh man,
when you think about it too hard, it's a little like, holy crap. Like, you kind of don't, like, when you look at your phone and say like, oh, I reached 4.5 million people this month. That's an insane number. And so for some people, it's even like quadruple that.
Yeah.
But to think that many people are seeing your content and are essentially a part of their lives for a moment is pretty insane. But yeah, I just think that storytelling on any medium, whether it's through tabletop role-playing games, theater, film, TV, whatever you do, storytelling is such a fundamental part of any culture worldwide, and it elicits so many great it helps you with so many life lessons, but also is just such a great support system for so many people to just forget about their lives for a minute, for an hour, for 4 hours, whatever, and just enjoy a story. And it's such a awesome expression of artistry that reaches so many people in such positive ways that I don't know what else I'd be doing, quite frankly.
Do you know the story? Have you heard the story called Watership Down?
Yes.
So, like, I love Watership Down so much, and the way the writer came up with the story is so nice. It's like this writer is driving his children to, like, I think to the school or wherever, and on driving he's just like making up stories, but the children start catching on to that, and like, what happens next? On the next day he has to like make up more stories. He has to make up more stories and more stories, and that's like how he came up with Watership Down. And that's essentially, I mean, like you said, it's a part of like every culture. It's an essential part of like propagating culture, making sure, like, I would say kind of an immortality, storytelling. So I forgot what the point I was trying to make. So I will let Raghav take over.
I just want to go back into your content actually, because we've had one hell of a tangent for 40 minutes.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's been 40 minutes.
It was good. We talked about storytelling. We talked about
absolutely.
TTRPGs. Talked about impact on cultures.
Hey,
it's good. It's
I
good.
warned. We warned you.
Not complaining there, but
I led most of those conversations. To be fair, I'm the one that did the tangents, not you guys. It was me.
So I absolutely love your content on Instagram.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely hilarious. Especially that song. It's still stuck in my head. I was singing that while I was on a work call, so you could imagine. So I just want to ask, like, what goes in your mind while you create these?
Well,
What's the
a
whole
lot
process?
of it is, yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just instinct and the first thing that comes into my head. Some of it is research. Like, you go on these platforms, you look at what people are making, what content's being made in these communities. You know, some of them are what trends are going around, what jokes are funny in the moment. How can you make a D&D version of that? Sometimes you see a setup or a joke and you're like, you just have like the Conker's Bad Fur Day thing that we talked about. It was like, I just saw a post of someone being like, oh, wasn't Conker's Fur Day freaking nuts? Remember this scene? And I was like, imagine if I showed that as a character, like as a baddie during a game. So a lot of it's just instinct and reaction and just kind of going with the first thing I think of. Sometimes you will see other people make really good commentary on like an insight while playing D&D, or, you know, a facet of it, like a player making up a whole backstory point to your game that they never told you about or talked to you about. And you're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, overtaking the story. And that's just a common joke that's prevalent in the game and lots of us experience. So when you see someone make a TikTok or a short form video about that subject and it like went viral, sometimes I'll note that down. Like, okay, that insight is really popular. Like, everyone's really attached to that. I connect with that. How can I do my own version of that? But yeah, a lot of it is just like watching, consuming content, and then just inspiration kind of comes and you kind of go along with it. I've tried to refine the process from being less chaotic and loosey-goosey and trying to be like, you know, some days will be like research days and I'll go down and, you know, consume content, go through videos and be like, okay. And when I save stuff, I'll go through them. Okay, today I think I want to try to make like these 10 videos and record them. And sometimes they do great and sometimes they flop. But it's a lot of just going with the flow and just leading with instincts on certain things.
I mean, like you, Arlentric and XP to level 3, all of you guys, and even Connie Chang, you guys have been like such inspirations for me, like, you know, how to like create short form content. Even like I'm like sort of trying to get into that, but making it for the Indian or Hindi speaking audience.
Yeah.
Because like I think that's like kind of needed.
I've honestly, like, there is, and I also have a digital marketing background that I kind of fell into that wound up forcing me to be analytical about the creative process. I've always also been kind of obsessive with like deep diving on certain creatives and business leaders and stuff, just to be like, how did their mind work? What's their process like? And I think when I watch like a 2-hour YouTube doc on someone, I'm taking lessons from that a little bit as well into my own work. But someone like Mr. Beast, who I think, I don't know, maybe I'm just talking on my butt here, but I think he was one of the first to like take his content and dub it in like all languages around the world, so that no matter who watched his content, they would know what it is and how it works and what they're listening to. So I've always wondered, if I took like my most viral content, let's say, and dubbed it in a different language and just reposted it, or like somehow tried to target it in that country, how that would come across, if it would work or not work, I don't know. But I've always found that kind of interesting.
I think if you made it in Hindi and or dubbed it in Hindi and posted it, it would certainly catch a few eyes.
Yeah,
I think it certainly would.
In our Infinite Tavern community itself, there are a lot of players who who actually succeeded in translating the like the basic D&D rules into Hindi, like and also the classes and the subclasses. They were able to translate them into Hindi and playtest them as well.
Yeah, because I did a post I think it was on Instagram. It was a joke on. It was during like the World Cup, like soccer football. And I think it was like the person talking in the background was Brazilian, and it was something about like stretching before a game. I think that was the joke, and I did it something like stretching before about to like ruin 4 players' lives or something like that, like as a DM joke. But the background, the narrator or the announcer was Brazilian, and on all other platforms it didn't do very well, but on Instagram it went viral, and it was just all Brazilians in the comments, like all Brazilian people who like love games, board games, TTRPG, nerd stuff, and I think one of those posts got me on the radar of a really popular Brazilian TTRPG channel called D20 Culture. That then started seeing my content, and then I went on and did something on their channel, and they're like, "Oh, we would love to host you in Brazil. Like a lot of Brazilian TTRPG fans know who you are." And they're like, "What? They freaking do?" Like that's insane to me. That worldwide kind of recognition that can come down, and it's so awesome to hear that not only my content but other people's content have reached you and is influencing you in that regard. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah, and I especially like the latest I think reel you posted about the double nat 20s that you got.
The one I posted this morning. Well,
yeah,
DM thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do more of those.
Like fuzzing,
that's
fuzzing the rolls.
The chill. Yeah, the chill DM series. Yeah, it's been working really well, and I'm gonna do more. I've written down a bunch more ideas. So that's, if you want to get a deep dive on like an example of content like internally.
Mm-hmm.
So the chill guy meme, TikTok, anyone who's listening, watching, consumes a lot of short form media. There's been this meme going around called the chill guy meme that has a certain like piano song tied to it. I think it's tied to a cartoon character that I don't know. I'm in my mid 30s. Maybe it's before my time, but it's a dog character with like his hands in his pockets, and he's got this like crew neck sweater, and all jokes around this song and this meme is just people who are chill. Like there's chill, like you're a chill boyfriend. Their partner is yelling at them, and they're just like hands in pockets, like whatever, doesn't matter. So, and I've seen some memes be made on the D&D side, like picture memes and video memes that are more like imagery wise, not like someone doing a skit, but it's the chill DM, like you rolled behind your screen and you would have TPK'd the party, but because you're a chill DM, you kept them alive. So you kind of like take that and make your own spin on it and film it in a different way. But the first one I did was when a player's trying to, like, the player's trying to kill a big monster, and there's like 13 HP left or 10 HP left, and you've been playing this fight for like 3 hours, and they have 13 HP left, and they do 10 damage, and they're like, "Is it dead?" And you're just like, "Yeah, it's dead. What do you want? Like, how do you want?" Especially if it's like a really poignant story moment for that one character to kill it or whatever. You just erase it, like, "Yeah, man, you killed it. Well, how do you want to do this?" And then that double nat 21 that you're referring to was one I posted this morning that was similar to the image one that I saw, which was you're DMing, you built up this huge battle. It's the first round of combat. The monster goes, you crit, and if you calculate the damage, you've just TPK'd the whole party. Do you let it go and just wipe everyone and figure it out? Or do you say, it missed, whoops, but you want to actually run the combat and let it go for longer than a second? And already in that video, I've had fun, and it's a fun conversation. I think it's a fun video setup because a lot of people connect to those scenarios happening in their games, like living through that exact thing and being cool about it. And there's a lot of people in the land of D&D content. There's a lot of people that like what you make, and a lot of people that hate any ideas or opinions that you have, period.
True.
So there's a lot of people in there being like, "That's bullshit. That takes away player agency. You need to let it lie where it lies. Yeah, you're bad." Like as Zach the Bold would say, "Bad DM, bad DM, bad DM." So it's a really fun series, and I'm going to be making more of them.
Speaking of series, you also have an actual play series, right? It's called War of the Realms.
Yeah.
So what is that about?
So that's it's a game that we've been doing for a while now. I don't think it's been a year yet, but it's been like 6-7 months. It's an actual play that's like a loose sequel to the first ever actual play that we did on the Dice Cream channels called Beyond the Realms, which we did out of the pandemic and built a little bit of a community around that. And it's with other fantasy creators, Tank Tolman, Mossy Socks, Valiant Fox, and Chelsea Bites, and my partner Anastasia Rowland. And it's loosely based off of the Shattered Obelisk campaign, which is an amazing starter campaign and D&D that released, I think, last year. If anyone here hasn't listened to it or read it, please do. It's an expansion off of Fandelver, which is like most people's like perfect like intro little D&D story that you can play to get people into the game. And they expanded it to be like a level, instead of going to like level, I don't know, 8 or whatever, it goes to like level 15. So that's kind of its spine. And then I put my own little homebrewed world on top of it. Because I had never run like my own homebrewed world campaign before. So I have my own little lands and territories and NPCs and kingdoms and things in there. And it's super fun. And Tank Tolman has a homebrewed class that we made together. My partner Anna has a homebrewed druid class. That's a myconoid druid class. Tank plays a inspiring barbarian because his content's very wholesome and he's a Viking. And so he wanted to have a class
love his content.
Yeah, like, Tank's great. And he's
inspiring content. I just go to watch that, whenever I'm just feeling down, I just go to that content just to, just so that I could just, I love his content.
Yeah. He's a great guy and a genuine article. Like he is as nice as his videos come across. Like he is such a good dude. So that's kind of the basis of it. And it's been really fun. And the way that I do my stories is we have like, it can be serious 1 minute and hilarious the next. Like there's always this sort of balancing act between the two. I'm a kind of a DM that loves players pitching me things. The more ridiculous, the better. And if I'm like, yeah, let's see how that works, and we'll just go with it and see what happens. And we just got announced that we're going to do our first live show of the actual play to be announced, which on soon. I can't say it yet, but it's super exciting. And it's been a blast. So we've been on break since the holidays. We usually stream them every Sunday at noon PST. But we are going to be recording our new episodes very soon. We're just trying to find a date.
Oh yeah, scheduling.
Scheduling, the true BBG.
Yeah, the true BBG of all D&D shows.
The final boss. The final boss. I just went into the rock.
I've seen one of your videos. I think the latest one with your actual play thing here, where you talk about DMs not having a record of what they're talking about sometimes.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. That's me. I'm one of those. I say ridiculous things when I DM sometimes, and I don't hear what I say at all.
Our server, the Infinite Tavern on Discord, has this separate channel called Quotes, which has all these things that we talk about. During games, people just say the most ridiculous,
unhinged,
the most unhinged things, and we just immortalize them in that server.
Yeah, we have
that.
If you want a content idea for short form, find a sound that works, but like it's just you going to camera. Maybe a prompt can be like things that have actually been said during our D&D games, and you just stare at the camera and just let like the text pop up on screen with all those quotes, and just like let people read them and just see how ridiculous they can be.
Hey, that's an idea. That's a good idea.
One of my favorites is a therapist is someone who casts modify memory repeatedly.
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, I guess.
Or talking about detect thoughts, I'm going surface level, and after a while, you know what? I'm going deeper. To anyone outside, it's just you don't know what they're talking about. And those are just some of the quotes that we have there.
But they get pretty insane as you go deep dive into it.
I've seen another one where you're planning on doing a few more TTRPGs in 2025. I think the top 5 had Vaesen and a few other, I think, Dungeon Diver or something. I don't remember the name.
There was Vason was not. So yeah, I did a couple. I tried, like, I've been experimenting because this every year I also set a little bit of personal goals on like what kind of new content I want to try to focus on. You know, we do great with like meme videos and viral videos and like event videos and news videos. But I want to start getting a bit deeper. I want to start working on building community and going back to doing like tips and tricks, or like, have you heard of this game or that game? We do a lot of Kickstarter promos and stuff that promotes systems and new games coming out. But a lot of those videos are more like selling people an idea. Like, hey, there's this book coming out this is the idea of it. This is what they want to do. And never necessarily like, this is that you should try this game. Here's the system. Here's the world. Here's the story. Here's what I think it's great. So I want to do more of that. So yeah, I made this post that was like, what are the top 5 TTRPGs that, you know, you all want to play in the new year? And we got like hundreds of comments on them. And then I made a video kind of going down the top 5 that people said in the comments. And 5 was Vason, which is kind of like investigative horror, similar to Call of Cthulhu, for those that who know
I've
what
run
it
it
is.
once. It's a very similar to Candle Obscura, actually. Those
Yeah,
way
with the
you play it,
D6s
the
and
D6s and all that.
Yeah.
And it's very
Yeah,
interesting,
so it's
the
like that
Norwegian, the Scandinavian folklore and all that.
Yeah, so that's really fun. It's like Call of Cthulhu without Eldritch horror, folklore, grim fairy tales. 4 was Shadow Dark, which swept the Ennies last year at Gen Con, which, for those that don't know, the Ennie Awards are kind of like the TTRPG Academy Awards almost. Like, it's a very recognized award. And they like got 4. And it's old school D&D feel. It takes the game back to an old school feel. Like, the combat's punishing, resources are scarce. The nobody has dark vision, only the monsters do. There's really fun mechanics in the game, like a torch timer, where if you have a torch, you're going in a dungeon, you literally put a clock on the table for 60 seconds, or 60 minutes. I think it's an hour. Forget, seconds or minutes, whatever. When it runs out, the torch is out, like out, and then you're screwed. Then you're in the dark and like you can't see anything, and monsters want to kill you. So that's really fun. And then 3 was Mothership, which is a sci-fi horror system. If you love the Alien movie franchise, if that kind of spooky, you're in an abandoned ship and something's trying to kill you is your jam, or you played way too much Dead Space on PS3, that's that kind of world. And the community around it is so vast. There's so many stories that people have made on, like, with Mothership system, like stories that involve you explore an abandoned ship and there's a rogue AI that's trying to kill you with robots. There's a time traveling story that's really popular, sort of on and on and on. And there's number 2 was 10 Candles, which has been around for ironically 10 years now. And it's very story focused, narrative focused, where you light literal 10 candles around a table with your friends. Each player writes down these sort of truths and negatives about their character. And as you play out the scene, a great example of a 10 candle game would be like Pitch Black with Vin Diesel, where you're like, you crash land on an abandoned alien ship. Your ship's fucked. You need to find a power source to bring it back online, and thus have to go out in the dark and find a power source. But there are these like creepy lion-like aliens running around that want to eat you. So can you get the power source and come back without being murdered? And as each scene ends, a candle goes out. So whether it ends appropriately or like you're playing a scene and your character dies, the candle goes out and you just fast forward to the next scene. And you all will die in 10 candles. You're supposed to. And the last candle is the last person standing. And it's just how you want to go out that matters. Do you sacrifice yourself? Does the monster get you? Whatever. And it's so evocative and so cool to tell a spooky story literally around candlelight. And then number 1 was Daggerheart, which is Critical Role's TTRPG that's coming out this year. I've done a lot of sponsorships and games of it on stage. I absolutely love it. It's a very D&D-like system where, you know, you have stats, you make a character, you make dice rolls. Where it differs is it has a big focus on collaborative storytelling, where it allows the players and the GM to make these worlds together. It's not very much DM tells players what's going on. It encourages the DM to be like, what does this forest look like to the players? And they get to describe it, things like that. Sometimes goes as far as describing NPCs and what monsters may look like. And they have a 2d12 system with fear and hope dice. So you make rolls, you're trying to beat a DC, but if it rolls with hope, the hope dice is the higher number, you get hope points. And if it rolls with the fear number that's higher, the GM gets fear points, which they can use to do reactions and crazy stuff. So really, really fun.
Yeah, not pushing something, but we did talk about bludgeon. So like whenever you have time, I think it's slightly more on the crunchy side. But we did have Tejas on the Infinite Tavern like a few months ago, and what was interesting in that bludgeon system was a grid mechanic actually, where your stats are laid out on a grid. Where one side, I think the columns are your exerted efforts, how much effort you're putting into something, and on one side was your, I think, your abilities, whether you're using your mental thing, your magical thing, or your uh, physical thing. So which was like, I think it was pretty innovative for
Cool. That sounds awesome.
for a tactical battle focused system, which was interesting. Also, oh, dude, we didn't even talk about this dice cream sandwich. What's the inspiration for that
Yeah, the
name?
name. Yeah, what's the story behind the name?
It's not a compelling story. My ex at the time worked at an ice cream shop, and she came up with the name. That's kind of it. Like, I think at the start,
Thank you.
when we did our first, that was it. Short, sweet. But yeah, at the start, when we started making content, the first thing we ever did was a Curse of Strahd campaign, which you can still watch on my YouTube channel. We've recorded the whole thing, and the whole thing's on there from like 2018, the first thing we ever did. So at first, I think it was going to be the name of like our group, our gaming group. It was never really meant to be just me solely, but in trying to make content to support that stream and let people know about it, nobody else really wanted to make videos or do stuff. So it was just me all the time. So people just connected me with the name, and then I just ran with it. But yeah, I didn't come up with it. I've never taken credit for it. Yeah, my ex at the time came up with it.
It's such a nice pun. I love it so much. It's dice cream sandwich. I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
and now that's taken.
It is.
Yeah.
It is taken. Don't fucking take it. It's taken. There's copyright infringement if you do.
Oh, talking of copyright infringement, was again I think it was last year. I think because you do a lot of sponsorships and promotionals with other companies, and where they ask you to hey, can you make something for us, and then it gets used out of context in a certain promotional which wasn't part of the deal. So as you're making TTRPG content, how are you sort of dealing with all of those things?
Well, I haven't had too many issues in that department. A lot of the promo work we do majoritively is with smaller businesses. That's kind of a key aspect of my platform. From someone who was a struggling creator for a long time, it's hard to get things noticed, get your name out there, get your product out there. And also having been a social media marketing guy for a lot of businesses for a while. I genuinely like being a part of that wheel for other people to try to, like, for them, like, we have this great thing, we just don't know how to reach people, and being that person who can help with that, and then seeing the success afterwards is like just a niche that I love scratching. It brings me a lot of joy to help people in that regard. So a lot of smaller businesses I work with, I've never really had an issue where they like took my thing and then did something we didn't agree to about it. The one time it did happen was with a company called Wizards Dice, I think is what they're called. I'm forgetting the name. It doesn't matter. I don't want to drudge up old shit. But they basically were like, hey, we want to send you some dice. Would you make a video of it? And normally I'd never do free content. But I liked their dice. They're cool. They were, I thought, a cool company. And I was like, sure, why not? This one time, I'll pick the most expensive dice you have and you send it over. And so I did, and I made a video, and that was that. But then 3 days later, I saw an ad on my feed of the video I made, which was not discussed, which we did not talk about, because that would indefinitely have a price tag to it or discussion beforehand.
Yeah,
And there was no discussion. So I was like, hey guys, what the hell are you doing? And just got radio silence. To then I made the very few times I have made my, hey, these guys are fucking shady. And I did a public post about it and it went viral. And then they backtracked everything and they were like, we'll pay you. And I'm like, no, I don't want your money, nor do I need your money. Don't fucking do this to people. And that goes for like any company out there. When you're working with creators, like they're pretty, like we're fun to work with. Like,
True.
We'll sit down and talk details. Like,
we're chill.
Just don't do things that we didn't agree to. Yeah, we're chill. But like, if you're gonna ask someone to make a video for you, and first off, not pay them, which you should always pay people for them doing stuff. Making videos may seem like it's not an easy thing. If it was not so fucking easy, you'd fucking do it. But you can't. That's why you're asking me to make a video. And I would love for a lot of services to be free. I don't want to pay my Shaw bill for internet, but it's a service and I pay it. So when people ask for content for free, it's a personal decision if you do that or not. And a lot of companies are great. And there's some people that make great stuff and people are happy to make content for free sometimes if that's what they want to do. Yeah. But yeah, if you agree to something and then you go behind their back and then start doing things that they didn't agree to, that's really not okay. But fortunately for me, for the most part, it's never been much of an issue. Most corporations, most companies will make a contract anyway and hold both parties accountable.
Yeah.
And some creators like myself, I have in the past, have a bit of a contract that just says, this is how much we're paying. This is when I expect the payment. This is when I will post the video, and just holds everyone accountable. A lot of times when I make videos, I have my own little system where I make the video, and when it's done, I give it to the client for a review. And if they're like, this is great, post it, cool, I'll await payment. And once I get payment, I will post the video. Because a lot of times when there aren't contracts involved or when you're not working with corporations, you'll make your video for them and you're like, sweet, you'll post it. And then you may not see the money for weeks, even months sometimes. So that's just a system that I'm comfortable with. And for the most part, everyone's been very happy to accommodate. So
that is extremely professional though. Like you just get paid and then you post it. That's really cool.
I mean, I've worked like a ton of freelance gigs as a storyboard artist, and usually I work as a storyboard artist for films and as an. So I've had troubles where it was just, a verbal agreement because, this person is a friend of a friend. And they were like, okay, can you make these like few storyboards for us? I'm like, okay, sure. I'll make them quickly because I'm quick. And I send it to them. I don't hear back from them. I'm like, hey guys, where's the payment? And like, oh, the client hasn't given us the payment yet. And so it's taking some time. Month goes by, 2 months go by, 3 months go by. Like, guys, I need to eat now.
Yeah, and that can be hard. And a lot of big corporations
and I've had to like threaten them with like, legal notice. Like, hey, I'm going to send you a legal notice now. And then they get ready and how can you do this? How can you do that? We're not scared of you. And then they cut the call. And then like a few hours later, they send the money to my bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks that's the lengths that you have to go sometimes, but that's why I kind of implore that system.
Yeah.
So that
even a basic contract, even a very basic contract, I think is like super helpful because it's for your own protection, right? Like, hey, these are the simple terms we agree to. And, I think that's the like the best way to go about it, especially for, up and coming creators. This is more obviously to advice for like Raghav and I as well,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who, I've tried to also help other creators who, some of them have great platforms and make great content, comparable to a lot of other creators who get a lot of sponsorships, but they just don't know how, or they don't know what to do. Because a lot of people get into content creation, they don't have a business background or a marketing background, and know necessarily how to get sponsorships seen or engaged with. And literally, guys, the best piece of advice I can give any creators out there who maybe you've made a few great videos and you're building your platform and you're ready to take on sponsorships, you don't know how, just freaking ask people. Like, people don't understand that there is no wall, there's no magic curtain, there's no password or code to put in. Approach people, ask them if they're interested, have maybe the data to back it up so it's easier for them to say yes. Like beacons.ai or whatever the address is. Beacons is a program that I use for my link tree, basically, and it has its own internal marketing kit that plugs into all your socials, will give you an aggregation of like your engagement rates, your total followings. You can even put in examples of like your best of content for a portfolio, and you can just send them that link. And whatever businesses you're interested in, or maybe you see some of your fellow creators getting sponsorships from this company, signaling to you that they're wanting to work with creators and they have a budget. Maybe you might have missed the window. Maybe that funding round has passed, but you can still get on their radar and just DM them, send them an email, send them a DM, and just say, hey, I'm this creator. I do this kind of content. Here's a marketing kit with my portfolio. Hope to work with you someday. Would love to collaborate in the future. Just do that. You don't need permission. Trust me. Most of the stuff that I've ever done, the biggest things I've ever done, was just because I asked. Literally. Like the first time we ever did a live show at a big con was Gen Con coming out of the pandemic. And I made a post to my Instagram because I thought it would be a long shot and it would not happen. And I was like, what have I got to lose? So I did a whole thing of talking to the camera, being like, hey, Gen Con, I'm Dice Cream. You probably haven't heard of me. I've done this stuff. I would love to do a live show at your con. I've heard that you're coming out of the pandemic and it's hard to find people. And I asked my community to like tag them in the comments so they see this. Within 3 minutes of that post, they DM'd me and said, what do you want to do? and I pitched them 3 shows thinking they'd choose one. And they said, we'll do all 3. See you in 2 months. Oh, so
that is crazy.
Just take a chance. Trust me. You'd be very surprised at what people are willing to work with you if you just ask, if you put the first foot forward.
Nice. So right now, I think we are nearing the
we have crossed the 1 hour mark, actually.
Yeah. See, like time flies by. We don't even realize it.
It's all good.
Yeah.
He's a forever DM from what I know. So I want to ask him this question. What is the most unhinged moment your players have done? What was the most unhinged thing your players have done ever with you as a DM?
Oh God, ever? There's been so many games.
You can talk about the most recent, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Literally, like we do so many games, it is sometimes hard to pinpoint those things. I'm just trying to think. In War of the Realms, what was unhinged? Oh, you know what? Unhinged, surprising is probably more appropriate and a little unhinged. We did an episode of War of the Realms, our actual play. The episode's on our YouTube, where we had Miss Gina Darling be a guest star, who's an awesome creator, streamer, personality. And they pitched me this idea for a barbarian character, and they wanted to not tell the players about it so they would experience it as it happened. And when they were like this calm, quiet little gnome person, and when they go into a rage, they reach into the pouch of their dead brother's ashes and spray it on their face and then go, ah! So that was the mechanic for their raid. And on stream, Gina went into a weird pocket around the table that was just like powdered sugar and went like Scarface their own face and did the whole thing. And everyone just, their jaws were on the floor. It was so funny. That was pretty unhinged. I will say that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's
Miss Gina
dedication.
Darling.
That is
Hilarious.
dedication.
So good.
That's dedication to your
One of
character.
my favorite role players ever.
I mean, was it called method acting? No,
little bit.
method acting would be if Gina Darling had.
Actually got ashes of a dead family member.
Yeah,
and
and-
that would be method.
And that would
Didn't go that far.
be method. And would that be criminal?
Uh,
Depends.
Depends.
Yeah.
Depends.
How did she get
There's
the
another one actually on YouTube as well from the studio I worked with last year called Quest Keep.
Mhm.
That was, we did a Pathfinder campaign that was based off of the book Bloodlords, and it was an undead campaign. It was really kooky and fun, a very what we do in the shadows feel.
Nice.
In the very end fight, there's this undead hand that they find out was like the mastermind behind everything. And I think when they fought the baddie and all the villains, and the hand dived into this pool to escape, and one of the players is like, I'm going to go for the hand so it doesn't get away. And I literally on camera, like, I don't know, you're going to have to hit like a so-and-so DC. It's a very hard, and he just has nat 20, and everyone loses, because it's like the final moment of the game, and everyone loses their shit. And I am so angry, so mad. I'm like on camera, and I like walk off screen, and then everyone's like laughing and like cheering and slapping, and then I walk behind the players, and I'm like, no, stop cheering, I'm mad at you. And someone's dressed as Dracula. I'm like, get out of my way, Dracula. And I'm just like, walk off set. That was pretty funny too.
That is. Oh man. I think the unhinged memories are favorite memories.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Amaan, do you have any other questions you want to ask, or?
I'm out. I'm just imagining Thing from the Addams Family being a mastermind now.
Yep.
The hand.
Okay.
Yep. The hand was a butler in their sort of household that they all stayed in.
Yeah.
That was like, that had like an owner, and it was the butler for the house, and then it turned out they hated being a butler really badly and orchestrated the end of the world because of it.
Well, while Amaan is just thinking about that, Kevin, do you want to just plug in your channel, your YouTube channel, or your Instagram, or anything?
Yeah, I mean, like all my social channels are under Dice Cream Sandwich. Most active on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Try to upload, not daily necessarily. There'll be stints of where it's daily, and there'll be stints of like I'm doing other things. So there'll be like maybe a 3 or 4 day break. But actively uploading fairly regularly on those channels. I also got a Blue Sky. I've been trying to build that community over there. We have a YouTube channel. I'm going to be posting there more regularly with our shorts. Mostly it's just kind of a repository for our long form games. So if you ever want to catch up, a lot of the games we've played over the years, one shots with people like Matthew Lillard, games with Miss Gina Darling, they're all up on there. Quest Keep, which was the studio that I worked with last year, their YouTube channel, there's 3 campaigns I did. It was a Pathfinder, D&D, Dragonlance game, and Candela Obscura. All those are over on that channel that I GM'd. We're also super fun. Other than that, we also do live shows all over the US. Would love to do a live show in India. That sounds cool as hell.
Come on.
One day.
No one's
no one's stopping you.
Hey man, if I can make it happen, if I can convince Wizards of the Coast to start doing a crazy promotion in India where they get famous Bollywood stars to do a one shot, I will make it happen.
Okay. Again, you just gotta ask.
Yeah, exactly. Just gotta ask. But yeah, I've got a bunch of live dates for anyone that's listening that's maybe in the States. Doing a lot of live shows this year. I think out of the 12 months of the year, there's only 2 that we're not doing something. So
that is
busy.
Keep your ears open for those.
Busy year.
Yep.
All right. I think that's it.
I think that is about it. And before we go, from the Infinite Tavern, we should have done this at the beginning, but Happy New Year, listeners.
Happy New Year. I am not sure if it will be relevant
Yeah.
by the time this
by the time it
episode
comes out. So
Hey, always have a happy new year, whether it's the middle of the year, the third into the year. Always have a happy new year.
But yes, so this was the awesomely energetic Kevin with us from Dice Cream Sandwiches. Or Dice Cream Sandwich, not sandwiches. Sorry.
Hey, we can have we can have enough to go around.
People have told me that I should make my own brand of ice cream sandwiches.
Okay.
I don't know how that works.
It's right.
I don't know how you do that,
It's in the shape of a D20.
but I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Shape of a
Shape of a
D20.
D20.
It's not so hard, Kevin. Come on.
I mean, I get. Look, do you know how to make and sell ice cream sandwiches? I fucking don't know. How do you do that? Who do you talk to? I don't know. If anyone out there is listening and you know how to make ice cream sandwiches, not only that, mass produce ice cream sandwiches, you let me know. You come reach out to me.
So for our listeners, if anyone knows how to make ice cream sandwiches in the shape of a D20 particularly, you can just reach out to Kevin on Dice Cream Sandwich. He's available on Instagram or anywhere like Facebook. I'm not sure who even uses Facebook anymore, but
You'd be surprised.
really,
It's one of my biggest platforms for views.
Wow.
Not kidding.
I am surprised.
Okay. Yeah, even me.
It's crazy.
But yeah, so that was the Infinite Tavern with Kevin from Dice Cream Sandwich. And we shall see you again with the letter E in the next episode. And until then, make sure you catch the Fables and the Folk, the actual play that is set in the Feywild. It is, I think, by the time this is out, all the episodes would have been out. So make sure you catch them. And yeah, we shall see you in the next episode. Until then, may your dice rolls be nat 20s maybe.
Yeah. Nat ones if you're rolling below.
All right.
And
Let
Silvery
me-
Barbs sucks. Silvery Barbs sucks.
And if you can use them, your DM can use them too.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I should use them more often. Stop being a little bitch about it.
Oh yeah. All right, everyone. That's it.